Cancer, welcome to your full moon reading for October 2020. So again, I'm kind of changing things up a little bit, just trying to sort of keep the astrology and the geomancy connected so that people can see, the sort of overlap. So what I've done is I've done an overall forecast for, in terms of the astrology for this upcoming full moon, and then these are the individual geomantic forecasts where I kind of talk a little bit about the astrology and then do the geomancy reading afterwards. So it's fair to say that this full moon is going to kickstart what's going to be quite a dramatic and volatile month, certainly as far as the astrology is concerned. So what's happening is we've got a tale of two kind of realities almost. On the one hand, we've got quite a lot happening in the external world that's not going to feel that comfortable or pleasant, where old structures are kind of falling away and things are really sort of disintegrating where they need to. But then on the inside, there's this wonderful upsurge of inner truth, of realizations, of spiritual awareness and growth, of kind of blissed out states, and that's thanks to things like the transits of Venus, as well as that wonderful Neptune sextile that happens mid-month. So I think the key thing is to really focus on those and to just remember what's really real, and it's not the external circumstances, even though that's what we've been conditioned to believe. Also, I think things could look up a lot in relationships because of all the positive aspects of Venus. So hopefully that's a silver lining in all of this. So for you, this particular full moon happens in your 4th and your 10th houses. So the moon will be in your 10th house of career. Yeah, that's correct. And then the sun in Libra will be in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and kind of domesticity, your private life. So that's really going to be the emphasis, is this kind of 4th, 10th axis. And, this is a continuation from June, July with those eclipses, which were also in cardinal signs. And those were kind of highlighting your angles, the sort of the ascendant, descendant, your MC and your IC. So this kind of continues that theme. 2020 is definitely a year of kind of major shifts and changes, and these are going to be in the kind of key structural areas of your life. But these don't necessarily have to be bad changes. So I think let's get into the geomantic forecast and see what wants to, to come out in that arena. That Aries full moon could be something really, movement forward, momentum forward when it comes to your life purpose, your soul mission, all that kind of stuff. It could be that you finally ignite like that, like Ace of Wands energy, that the passion is ignited and you're kind of off. Because self-empowerment is a big theme during this full moon, with Aries being, sort of so strongly emphasized, and also with that fixed star diadem, which is the crown. So it really is about kind of sovereignty, inner realizations, empowerment, stepping into your authority, all those good things. Whoopsie, cards are jumping. Right, let's cut them. Whoopsie. Yeah, these cards have got quite a waxy texture, so they are a little bit slippery. So just a heads up, I'm not going to turn over all the cards, only the ones that are relevant. Just trying to keep these readings very, very focused. Otherwise, they end up being a little bit long. And, no one's necessarily got time to sit and listen to a 45-minute reading. Okay, so let's look at first of all at the 4th and the 10th houses. Nice. So yeah. So how interesting, we've got exactly the same geomantic figure in both houses. That is fascinating. So when it comes to the connection between work and home life, between your private, the sort of, your kind of personal sphere and the public sphere, you want them to kind of match. I think that's why we've got this aligning of energy. So Letitia is Jupiter in Pisces, very, very positive. It's joyful, expansion. What was I saying about your passion being ignited? I really feel as though, oh, goodness me, everything's kind of, this is just a reflection of what I was talking about with structures kind of disintegrating. Everything's falling to pieces. So, yes, so I really feel as though what you need to get in touch with is your joy. What brings you joy? What brings you passion? What makes you feel alive, happy, expansive? Because that is going to be what's going to drive you going forward. This is a month of entrepreneurial energy. And I think it's really time to kind of take the bull by the horns and to go, what do I want? What am I here to experience? What gifts do I have to give the world? And, don't just think in terms of, what's the 9 to 5 or what brings security. That kind of mentality is leaving. And I think we have to sort of go with that and sort of cultivate that, as I say, those inner states of joy and bliss that are actually going to be what's going to help us move forward into this next era, the new earth. So this is really being emphasized, I think, by Letitia here, which, as I say, is all about expansive emotional states. And of course, everyone tells you that those are the states, that kind of loving, joyful, blissed out state that we are able to be creative, we're able to manifest. This is the kind of the key to it all. So that's fantastic. And then, of course, we've got Saturn direct in Capricorn, which is in your 7th house. So let's have a look at that. Interesting. So definitely indicating an end to that retrograde period. We've got Veer here, which is all about forward movement and momentum. So if things have been a little bit stuck over the last few months during the Saturn retrograde when it comes to key relationships and partnerships, then things are on the move now. That's certainly the way that it looks here with Veer. So there could be a trip in the offing. We'll have a look at the 3rd and the 9th house to see whether that's the case, whether it's a physical trip or whether it's simply about forward movement. Interesting. So an echo here of the sun in Cancer, the moon in Cancer in both houses. So it could be that there's some foreign trip kind of in the offing. Possibly one that, is with a tour group, because we've got Populous here, but equally it could be about going to visit, like a very well-known site like, say, Mecca, or, something that involves a kind of a group cultural or religious activity, a school tour, for example, or some kind of paid package tour, for example, like a cruise. And then here in your 3rd house, we've got Counter Draconis, which is the end of a cycle. So it could be the end of, if you've been stuck at home in your local neighborhood because you haven't been able to travel due to restrictions, then I think that those are lifting, those are ending. This is the end of a cycle. Equally, it could be about the end of a way of seeing things, a way of seeing the world. But I kind of think that, given all the other positive energies that we've got here, that maybe this is some kind of trip. But let's pull some trinkets just to find out, to get some clarity. So first of all, let's have one for the moon. Right, so we've got the fox here, which is all about being quite canny, quite clever and cunning. The Greeks talked about metas, which is sort of cunning intelligence. So I think what it's saying is, when it comes to moving forward with your career, your sole purpose, that you need to be a little bit wily and cunning, and also just you know, the fox can also be quite a lucky animal. It's considered to be a spirit animal that's associated with shape-shifting. So this could also point to, as I say, a shift in terms of your career, you know, from should do this to I want to do that, I'm driven, I feel passionate about X. It's so interesting. These same trinkets kind of keep coming out. So for your fourth house, we've got my garden. So this is in the Lenormand system. This is very often about public spaces or public property or something that's in the sort of you know, the social sphere. So maybe this has to do with you know, a lot of family members or congregating, for example, in a garden, or maybe like a family visit to like a nature park, or to the seaside, something of that ilk. But it's certainly something that brings you a lot of joy. So that might happen in the next couple of weeks, and that maybe also the, you know, the trips, the traveling that you know is kind of indicated here. You know, what I should also say before we go on any further is that the moon will be making a conjunction to Chiron, and Chiron's all about healing. So I do feel as though if you've kind of been in a career that's really been quite stressful, or that you really haven't enjoyed, but you've done because it's either great for money, or you know, your parents told you to, or whatever, that you know, there's a chance to kind of heal that dynamic now, to listen to your higher self and let it direct you, you know, moving forward. So let's just put a trinket for Chiron. Yes, definitely. The cross, which is all about burdens. So definitely put down the burden of the shoulds, of what you should be doing for a career, and really think about what you want to do, what you're drawn to do, what you feel that you love. Right, let's have one for that 7th house, Saturn. Right, so we've got the coffin here, which is all about endings. So definitely I feel as though you're leaving something behind, and you're moving forward. So you could be ending a period of kind of isolation from loved ones, and moving towards you know, a new phase in your life when it comes to relationships. You could equally be, of course, getting divorced or walking away from a relationship, and you know, moving on. This is what Via could be about here. I just think generally the coffin is about moving on. So I think it's echoing that Via energy here. Saturn is generally about closing something out on the whole. And that could simply be a cycle. So let's get one for the counter Draconis. Nice. So we've got a letter here. This is the letter. So for me, this is about some kind of written communication or message which perhaps ends a particular phase in your life, or if you haven't, you know, seen somebody, or you know, maybe this just ends a period of isolation for you. But it kind of, I think, is about some sort of written message that may be a sign, or as I say, that brings about a shift that leads to the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. It could also be your travel bookings. Nice. So for populace in your 9th house, we've got the bouquet. So the bouquet is about nice surprises, positive shifts, gifts, you know, kind of like surprise gestures that are kind of make your heart sing. So that's really nice to have in the 9th house. It could be a sign from your guides that points you in the direction of a good omen, for example. It could be, as I say, a wonderful experience traveling. It could be, you know, some sort of, maybe a whole lot of people club together to buy you a trip for your, you know, to kind of cheer you up, or something of that ilk. But it's usually something unexpected, but it's pleasant, that kind of occurs. So that's something to look forward to, I think. Nice. Right, let's pull you a final oracle card just to sort of round things off. So this is from the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck. So what does Cancer need to know? What parting message do we have for Cancer for the full moon in Aries? Oopsie. Bit of a klutz at the moment. I'm going to take that. There's too many. Oh, interesting. I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. So that may be a message for somebody out there who's perhaps estranged from, you know, a partner. Maybe this is what this this kind of ending is about. And maybe, you know, we've got forward momentum here with regards to the situation now. And that may be why we've got the letter here. Maybe there's some kind of email or text that comes in that ends the stalemate. So let's just pull a card for that. Let's just shuffle again. So energy flows where my attention goes, my intention goes. So yes, interesting. This is about manifestation. So I think if you do want to kind of end a cycle here in your third house, perhaps to do with communication, then just really set your intention. You know, if you're hoping to hear from somebody, for example, really set your intention and then just focus on that and see what happens. But I want to pull one more just as a kind of overall message for this full moon. Nice. When I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real. So I think that's quite a lovely message to end off with. And look, we've got 2 owls kind of hanging out under that full moon, which is wonderful. Kind of, I think, you know, affirmation of this joyful Laitisha energy, particularly here in your 4th house of family. So you know, I think it's just telling you that you are loved and cherished by family and significant others and the universe. So I hope that's been helpful, Cancer. Wishing you all the best for the next couple of weeks, and I'll see you again in a fortnight.